Hi guys, what's going on? I'm going to do a short video for you on my Wizard MTL 100 and how I'm actually using my Fractal FX8, which is purely just an effects processor, which I'm actually using in 4 cable method with my Wizard MTL amp. It has 2 relays, which is perfect for the amp because the amp requires 2 relays if you want to be able to control the rhythm boost, lead boost, and effects loop. So I'll talk you through that very shortly and how to do that and how to configure it all. But in order to do that, you will need 2 of these cables. Now, both of these cables are in fact the same cable, just 2 different colors, 2 different brands, but they both do the same thing. One cable is for one relay, the other cable is for the other relay. So in this case, I've actually got them labeled because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So this is, I'm hoping you can see that, this is relay 1, that'll plug into the FX8, and at the back of the amp you've got your rhythm and you've got your lead. So that's for relay 1. For relay 2, as you can see, I've got it labeled there, and effects loop and channel. Without these cables, you won't be able to make it work. And of course, this video is mostly on the basis that you have an FX8, which can and will control your Wizard MTL or your Modern Classic or whichever of those amps you happen to have. And I suppose the reason why this was sort of inspired is because it's hard to find a good foot pedal or pedal board solution or foot switch solution for such an amazing amp, and they are awesome amps. But yeah, having an all-in-one type solution that can change the channels for you, give you effects when you want them. You know, as I said, I'm running this in 4 cable method, and I don't need anything else on my pedal board. This is my pedal board that does it all. I can have obviously other effects. I'll probably have a tuner and maybe a volume pedal of some description, but as an all-in-one solution, this is what's working for me, and I'll talk you through how I'm doing it. You'll see the FX8 has relay 1 and relay 2, so just make sure that when you've got the cable handy, you're plugging the right cable into the right spot, and I'm going to do that now, and then you'll see exactly how it changes all the amps channels. Okay, everything is plugged in accordingly. The last part of the video, I will actually show you the online editor that I'm using for my FX8. I find, I'm sorry if you can't really see what's written on there, doesn't really matter, it's not too important at this point in time, but I find that screen too hard to work with. It's too small. It's good, but it's not for a simpleton like myself. So I'll be using the online editor to change all the different settings for the TRS latching on, off, etc, etc. I'll get to that shortly. But in the meantime, the way that the FX8 allows you to do it is via scenes. Okay, I'll show you the amp in a moment, but basically button 1 is scene 1, which is rhythm. Button 2 is scene 2, which is rhythm boosted. Button 3 is scene 3, which is lead channel activation. And then button 4 is button 4 is scene 4, it's lead channel boosted. Getting a bit tongue-tied. So I'll move the camera carefully over to the amp. Okay. So now it's defaulted to button 1, which is rhythm. Button 2 is going to be rhythm boosted. Button 3 is lead. Button 4 is lead boosted. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Okay, and for the last part is the actual online editor. So, and just remember guys, this video is based on the assumption that you have either a Wizard Modern Classic or an MTL or any Wizard amp with that type of configuration, and obviously an FX8, which is, as I said before, I use it in 4 cable method to control the amp and to give me any effect I want whenever I want at my disposal. The beauty of it is I can engage and disengage effects whilst I'm changing channels or changing states on the amp, which is an absolute winner for me. Anyway, how do you configure it? This was the trickiest part for me. It took me a while to figure it out because, as I said, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I got there in the end, and I'd like to think that a part of me has kind of conquered it. Anyway, I'm in the configuration tab. You then need to go down to relay 1 followed by relay 2, and you'll notice whether it's relay 1 or relay 2, the mode is latching as it says, and you need to have that set to latching for both relay 1 and relay 2. I mentioned previously scene 1 is button 1, which is also rhythm. Scene 2 is button 2, that's rhythm boosted. Scene 3 is button 3, which is lead, and scene 4 is button 4, which is lead boosted. And then I don't think these are too relevant, but yet again they must be relevant because I've had to configure it this way so that all the different channel states change the way that I want in chronological order from button 1 all the way through to button 4. Now I might add, the reason why this needs to be configured this way is because all 4 switching functions share the same common. If you plug a cable in any of the jacks and short the other end, you will activate its switching function. That is how this works. So take note of how I've got this set up for relay 1, scenes 1 to 8, and then I'll go to relay 2 for you. And there are a few states that have actually changed there. If it's anything different to this, I don't think it will work. I was a lot of trial and error backwards and forwards and latching and tip and ring and off and this and that. I won't get into it because I don't want to confuse people, but in the end, this is what I came to make it work the way that you saw it work just a moment ago. So feel free to give that a go. I'll also say that whether it's an FX8 or potentially the Line 6 HX effects, if you have, now I'm not an expert, so I'm only going by the assumption because my assumption is relay switching is relay switching. It can't be too different to how other relay switching work with the other foot switches in other amps. In the case of the Wizard, you need two relays to make this possible. So whether you've got the HX by Line 6 or another equivalent device, I think if you've got 2 sets of relays, if you've got the cables that I've showed you just a moment ago, you should be able to find a way in the editor of your device how to configure it so that it knows how to, I guess, let you control it, how you can control all the different states. That pretty much takes care of that. The last thing I'll show you, apologies for the noise, but don't forget on your amp, for it to actually work, I've got everything pushed in except for the effects loop, which is the presence control, and I like having a little bit of extra gain on the lead channel, I beg your pardon, on the rhythm channel, so I've got that pulled out. Anyway, other than that, that's pretty much all you need to do to have your FX8 control your Wizard amp. Obviously you can do it via 4 cable method or whichever way means works best for you and your setup and scenario. If I didn't mention at the beginning of the video, I'll mention it one more time. What I like about the FX8 is the fact that it's a small footprint, all-in-one foot controller pedal board solution. You don't need to go too big and do too much tap dancing with other pedal boards. This for me as an all-in-one solution is just, it's simple, it's grab and go, and yeah, you're good to go. And my final point, just bear in mind, and this must be a Fractal thing, to avoid any ground loop hum that you can get, you'll need, well, you don't have to use hum buster cables. It's definitely recommended that you do because they do cut out a lot of the ground loop hum, especially for high gain players like myself. And a hum buster cable, which I'm sure you can Google or you can check it out on the Fractal page, It's basically a cable that is TRS on one end and TS on the other end. How they work and how that magically gets rid of the ground loop hum, I'm not sure. I know that it does. So if you are getting some sort of ground loop hum, if you're running it in 4-cable method and if you're running it with the FX8, some humbuster cables will definitely do the trick. Anyway, that's enough from me. I hope this helps those of you that happen to have a Wizard amp and an FX8. Yeah, feel free to share it on the page and add some comments if you found a better way of doing it, or a neater way of doing it, or a more sensible way of doing it. Feel free to share. Thanks, guys. Hope this worked for you. Cheers.